So, I wanted to make a fairly simple video that is just a one-stop shop for ways to improve your survivability and your damage from basic content such as patrols all the way out to raids. This will not touch on PvP, just a heads up. If you wanted that, it's not here. You're not going to find it. But PvE, I'm hoping to go over anything and everything that could give you an edge from the most simple stuff out to more advanced stuff. Alright? Now, I feel that the best place to start is your armor. Your armor stats are going to govern how you play. Your armor is going to need to be able to house your mods that you want, and is really the cornerstone of everything you're doing here. If your guardian was naked, you'd be dead. So, you'll notice that I have 100 in resilience and 103 in intellect. You can actually get 3 stats at 100 just through umbral focusing. So, umbral focusing. You start out by making sure that you have a armorer mod on. The armorer mod will guarantee that it drops to the specific stat that is high for you. Now, if you're wondering what you need to focus, intellect and recovery are 2 of the highest cost mods to slot into your armor in the game. So you never want to be spending points that could be spent elsewhere just spending it on these 2. Because if we go ahead and look at the armor, you will find that the intellect and recovery mods at max cost 5 and 4. That is a lot of wasted energy that could be used for extra mods and just making sure you're kitted out. So of course, I focus intellect because I use a lot of intellect, and then I just mod it out for resilience. To show you how we do this, here at the war table, you'll notice that I already had that mod on. We go over here, and you'll notice that I am focusing with a high intellect stat due to the equipped ghost mod. Well, I'm going to grab that. I also did one previously, so let's go ahead and compare. Alright, so before the masterwork, my robe was sitting at 29 and 37 respectively for their stats. This piece dropped at a total of 66, which I'm not too keen on, with 20 in intellect and 21 in mobility. This, however, it did drop at 66, but it dropped with a 26 in intellect and 16 in mobility. Now, I'm actually okay with this, mainly because you have essentially 4 pieces that are going to be contributing to your overall stat pool. Your boots, your chest, your arms, your mask. Your bond, or not your bond, your class item is almost always just going to be, plus 10 to whatever stat you choose, which in my case you'll notice that I did plus 5 because currently I'm behind on intellect. So there's that, plus whenever you masterwork it, you get a plus 2 in every stat. So across the board, for masterworking, you're going to get a 10 in every stat at base from just masterworking, and then your bond can help you bump 1 more stat by 10. So you want to be focusing in these armor pieces here, because you need rolls that are going to make your life easier. So again, I'm going to go ahead, that was 66 with that kind of roll. I'm going to go ahead and I will focus another one and just see what we can get here. Okay, it looks like all of these are dropping at 66. I don't know if that is just this got changed, because I actually haven't focused at the war table in forever. Rather than focusing at the war table, this season I've actually been coming over here to the star chart, though, and I have been focusing here. Because, let's see, where is it? I thought... Okay, well, you can focus here and get yourself a high stat, and it was rolling higher for me. Granted, I don't have enough plundered energy to actually roll another one, but I will say, never do the class item. The class item doesn't matter. It can't roll with other stats. Moment here. I'm actually going to clear these out. Get out of my inventory. And you get out of my inventory. Alright. So, now that we've actually gone over the focusing part of things, let's go ahead and have a look at something else. Now, let's say you've got your armor set up. you are, nice looking with all of your stats you want, and you're just ready to go ahead and start slapping mods in. Well, what are some good choices? I will say that on my own, I run 3 Wells of Tenacity split between my helmet, my chest, and my bond, and then I run Elemental Time Dilation, which Elemental Well mods that grant you time-limited benefits can now stack, increasing the duration of the effect for each copy of the mod you have equipped. So, I can continuously be pushing my damage resistance higher and higher through Elemental Time Dilation. I also use Elemental Ordnance in order to actually pop those. So, beyond that, if you are looking to just increase your damage though, let's say you are, lacking behind, you're having issues, and you're getting shot down before you can return fire. There's actually some options here. There's a decent number of options, and it revolves around 2 major mods for you. All of these are going to be under combat style, meaning they can go into any piece of your armor. It is not specifically head, arms, any of those. Just one piece. The first one I want to cover is High Energy Fire. High Energy Fire is while you are charged with light, you get an extra 20% damage. An extra 20% damage is pretty nice. That is on par with having a well on you at all times. Standing in a well? Well, congratulations. You're under the effect of 2 times what a well would be. So, High Energy Fire, like I said, requires you to be charged with light. How do you get charged with light? Well, the most simple way would be taking charge. The absolute worst way would be Empowered Finish, because nobody likes Empowered Finish. Fight me. Alright, but in all seriousness, if you're looking for what I believe to be the best way to get charged up quickly, I honestly prefer using the charge mods that rely on weapon kills. In order, we have Quick Charge, which is for shotgun and fusion, Precisely Charged, which is for sniper rifle and linear. We have Blast Radius, which is grenade and rocket. Hold up right quick. We should have Swift Charge, which is for pulses, sidearms, and SMGs. Sustained Charge, which is for autos, traces, and machine guns. And then there is Precision Charge on the next page. Here it is, for bows, hand cannons, and scouts. All of these just require that you get rapid kills with a weapon of your choice and you will become charged with light. Like I said, those are what I prefer. Now, if you do that, you want to go ahead and make sure that you can either accrue multiple stacks of charge with light, or you can go ahead and use something like stacks on stacks. So, stacks on stacks gives you an extra stack of charge with light whenever you would gain a stack. Meaning, you get multiple kills with a pulse rifle using Swift Charge, you get 2 stacks instead of 1. And then if you absolutely needed to, you could go ahead and buff that up with something along the lines of Supercharged, which gives you 2 additional stacks. You can only ever hit 5, just a heads up. You'll never go higher than 5. Or there is Charged Up. Where are you charged up? Here you are. That is just 1 additional stack of charge with light. That is if you're falling behind. Now, moving out of the High Energy Fire tree. Bear in mind, this can be combined with shit. Keep it on the back burner here as I talk about this next one. Font of Might. Let me go ahead and grab it here. Font of Might. Picking up an elemental well that matches your subclass energy type grants a temporary bonus to weapon damage of the same elemental type. So, basically meaning, if you're running Void, and you made a Void well, and you're wielding a Taipan, congratulations, you just got extra damage to your Taipan. If you're running Arc, and you pick up an Arc well, extra damage to your Storm Chaser. This is fairly easy. Now again, you need a way to be able to proc this, which, of course, out of the ones that I would honestly pick, these are not in any particular order. As a matter of fact, my least favorite one is first, Elemental Armaments, because Elemental Armaments is weapon final blows with a damage type that matches your subclass element have an escalating chance to spawn an elemental well. Which, while yes, if you're running a BXR with Incandescent on Solar, sure, there's a chance you're going to get enough kills to pop that well. But in my preference, Elemental Ordnance, you chuck a grenade, you've got a well. It's much easier to set up. Now, beyond that, there's also Melee WellMaker. 1 second, here it is. Which you just melee an enemy, kill them, and you have a well. There is Shieldcrash WellMaker, which honestly hasn't been too consistent for me. You break an enemy shield with a matching element type, and you get a well. Now, one that I do know is very reliable is Reaping WellMaker. Basically, after activating your class ability, your next weapon final blow on a combatant spawns a Void Elemental Well. Sadly, though, that only works for Void. Now, there is another one, and it's this one right here, Elemental Charge. You notice I don't have it, which is the bane of my fucking existence because Ada1 has been holding it ransom from me for God knows how long now. But by picking up an Elemental Well, if the Elemental Well's element type matches your subclass element, you gain 2 stacks of Charged with Light. So, what this means is that you can actually remove something like your Swift Charge and just use Elemental Charge with High Energy Fire, a proc mod of your choice, and then Font of Might, and still have 1 slot left over for any mod you want. Now, I've been talking about the damage buff that Font of Might gives you. It's 25%. 25% extra damage. And again, we can use this with High Energy Fire, which is 20%, for 45% extra damage. Now, you might be sitting here going, well, how the hell am I supposed to use, a Charged with Light or a Well mod in the middle of a DPS phase on a boss? Well, here's the thing. With a fight like Oryx, you've got enemies around you. Chuck a grenade at your feet. You'll make a well, and if you're running the same subclass as someone near you that might be running the same thing, congratulations. You've buffed both of you. So, just doing that, you are taken care of. You've got an extra 25% damage there. Now, usually before a boss fight, I will pull out my weapon that's going to make me charge with light. I will pop several enemies on the way to damage, and then I'll hold it. Meaning, I might throw a grenade at them, or I might melee them, but I'm not shooting them, because if I shoot them, I will use my charge with light up, and all of a sudden I don't have it for the boss. But between those two things, you could be hitting Oryx with an extra 45% damage before you even hit anything like a Deadfall or add in a Well or Divinity. Just you on your own. That's an extra 45% damage. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and move into the next area. This one is probably the one that most people hate the most. It comes to weapons. Weapon choice. Now, we all know that as of right now, linear fusion rifles are pretty fucking dominant for damage. Like, if you're not using Storm Chaser or Taipan, most people are looking at you like something's wrong with you. Of course, there is still the option of rockets. Rockets never really got, dethroned, so you can use them. If you're going to use a rocket, for bosses that have a more lenient damage phase, I would definitely suggest using something with lasting impressions for the extra damage you can get with that. Or, if you're running a Charge with Light build anyways, you can use Explosive Light for the extra damage. Also, damn. Okay. So, now, the other thing. If you are sitting here going, well, I don't have the time to run Duality and farm out a Storm Chaser, or it's too much work, I don't want to do it. There's a quest that is going to appear right here for you. It is specifically built for people that do not have time or the interest to go farming something out. You just grab it, all it wants you to do is run a couple missions, and all of a sudden you have a craftable Taipan in your hands. And I'm going to go over what a good Taipan would look like. Now, of course, this is my opinion, although I think most people would back me up. I prefer Arrowhead Break. It makes your recoil direction more vertical, so you can just snap it back down. I use Enhanced Battery, preferably, because that increases the magazine size, and with this being a viced weapon, you can actually go ahead and have it reload from the reserves, just by dealing damage with it. And then here, you can either use Triple Tap, which 3 precision hits return 1 round of the magazine, or you can use Clown Cartridge. And I believe, yes, there is Enhanced Clown Cartridge, which basically gives you more ammo whenever you reload. So both of those are good options because yes, having something like liquid coils would make it hit harder. It makes you take longer. And if you had an infinite damage phase, yes, you would be doing more damage. But in a time-gated phase, where you might have somewhere between 30 and 45 seconds to deal your damage and get the fuck out, every second counts. So something like enhanced battery that's not going to slow you down, or accelerated coils that's actually going to speed you up, technically improves the damage you're going to be doing during a phase. And you also don't have time for reloading. So, Clown Cartridge keeps you from reloading for longer. Triple Tap keeps you from reloading for longer. It's very useful. Now, I don't know if I'm a weirdo here. I see a lot of people suggesting Focused Fury. I don't enjoy Focused Fury because you need to land half the magazine's precision shots before you even get your damage buff. I prefer Firing Line because the moment I start shooting, all of a sudden I have a damage buff. Now, again, that just covers weaponry. That is the, easiest option to just get into right now. Now, if you're wanting to, go much higher in damage, I know you can use a Pardon Our Dust in tandem with an auto-loading Storm Chaser. And if you get the right roll on the Pardon Our Dust, it is, I believe, Spike Grenades and Vorpal, but I forget what that second column perk is for it. That is excellent for it. But as it stands right now, I will throw on my Ensemble Firing Line Defiance of Yasmin, because runneth over. If I reload with everyone before going into damage, I have 8 shots in the mag. So, I have the auto-loading holster here. I start popping out Storm Chaser. I go to Defiance. I fire 4 shots from Defiance, which brings me down to 4 remaining. Swap over to Storm Chaser. Come back to Defiance. Pop out another 4 shots. Swap back to Storm Chaser. And all of a sudden, I've gone through 3 rounds of full magazines of Storm Chaser. I'm almost out of heavy. And I've shot 8 shots of Defiance of Yasmin, which is a lot of damage in a row. And again, I also do still run this during damage phases. So whenever you see me hit 4.5 million on a leaderboard, that's without any huge damage buffs from myself. Like, I'm gimping myself without that 45% extra damage. That is literally just basically knowing your rotations, having good weapons, on top of the Well, the Deadfall, and the Div. Which actually, let me look at something right quick, because I want to run a calculation while I am here. Alright, so I cut out the last part because it was literally just a bunch of me mashing on calculators. But all of our damage added together is 3.8 million. And this is without anything like Firing Line added in. So there's a lot of damage potential just if you're only using, Storm Chaser, because most of that damage was Storm Chaser out the gate. The Defiance of Yasmin only added, it was like 1.2 million or somewhere around there. So, yeah, having all that extra damage is absolutely huge for you. But at this point, if you guys have any more questions on how anything works, go ahead and let me know. But I'm just going to leave this here. I think the damage speaks for itself.